bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our streams.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
I'm at a loss, guys. I don't know how to talk about this pay-per-view. I'm so out of it. I didn't even start the show right, but I'm gonna do my best. Hello, everybody. This is the Mark It Down podcast. It is now Monday morning because of how late this pay-per-view went. I am James Gisanti, and we are here to cover AEW Double or Nothing. This was the 5th Double or Nothing in the company's history. And while they've all been amazing, I think I could fairly say this is probably one of the craziest events, let alone Double or Nothings, I've ever seen. And I will be talking about this show for years. Just going to go into the comments real quick, saying hi to some of our friends. You know it. 9 out of 10 for my rating for the show was pretty high too. And hello, everybody. Sup, you know it. Chrome. Hey, Chrome. Hey, guys. That show was simply amazing. 8 out of 10 to me. Wild matches. Crazy spots. Made me feel a lot of stuff. Simply what wrestling is supposed to be. Thank you, AEW, for this. Right there with you, Chrome. I couldn't have said it better myself. Chrome saying this was wild and best Double or Nothing of them all for sure. You know what, guys? I think Chrome is right. I think this was the best Double or Nothing, and we've had some great Double or Nothings before. I am also dealing with social media, so guys, if you're anywhere, if you're on X, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube with us, if you're anywhere that you usually see us, thank you for being here. I know it's late, but man, what a fun show to be a part of. What a fun show to watch live. And I'm still trying to gather my thoughts. Like, I took notes throughout the show, and I kept thinking, this is the high point of the show. This is going to be the thing we're going to spend so much time talking about. But the show kept outdoing itself. It kept getting better. It kept getting better. It kept getting more exciting. And I loved it. I don't think there was a bad part of this show. You know it. It's okay. When we're excited, sometimes spelling errors happen. And I think we could all learn to forgive you. But we're going to get started because, quite frankly, there's a lot to cover, and I don't know how much energy we're all going to have. But we're going to start at the pre-show. I'm not going to go too long in the pre-show. I'm not going to go too hard on the pre-show, but got to cover it. First pre-show match of the night was Deonna Purrazzo taking on Thunder Rosa. Now, a lot's changed since these two women have gotten together. A lot's changed since these two women have gotten in each other's atmospheres. 1 second. JL, hey JL, welcome to the comments, bud. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Edge's elbow drop made me throw up. Effing disgusting. We'll get to it. Worst elbow drop in the look. Considering the circumstances of what that elbow drop was, I'm willing to forgive it. It did look a little weird, but it was safe. But we'll get into that later. Macho Man rolled in his grave tonight. Horrendous elbow drop. Again, not entirely wrong, but realistically, I'd rather someone be safe than sorry, considering everything else that happened in that matchup. But going back to the pre-show, Deonna Purrazzo, Thunder Rosa, since the first time these two women got in each other's atmosphere or in each other's lives, both of those women were baby faces at the time, and Deonna was feuding with Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. Thunder Rosa came in to help, but then somehow managed to take the title shot for herself and Deonna got pushed to the sidelines. Deonna eventually grew tired and grew sick of being an afterthought and had a little bit of an attitude change. We saw Deonna become a heel. And quite frankly, I think it's worked for her. I enjoyed Deonna's AEW run from the moment she debuted to now, but I'd be lying if I said she doesn't look so much more comfortable, so much more at ease, and it feels so much more natural for her. She plays a great heel character. The Virtuosa works as a heel. These two women had great chemistry, doing a lot of reversals, a lot of submissions, a lot of technical wrestling. Ultimately, it coming down not to who was the better technical wrestler, but who was, I guess in this instance, a little craftier. As Deonna picked up the win after having reversed a submission into a small package, and with a little help from the ropes, getting a little extra leverage, she got the 1, 2, 3, quickly walked out of the ring, and quickly tried to establish it is the time of the Virtuosa and establishing that dominance. Let's see if this pushes her back closer to the AEW Women's title, especially as we saw some developments in that title picture tonight. No spoilers. We'll get to it in a little bit, but very interesting to see where that goes. Next in the pre-show, we had Tony Khan and Martha Hart come out and announce the 3rd annual Owen Hart Cup tournament. Tony spoke how he and Martha had gotten to talking, and they wanted to raise the stakes when it came to the Owen Hart Cup. So this year, the winners of the Owen Hart Cup tournaments for both the men and the women will receive world title shots. The finals will be in Calgary. It'll end in Calgary, and then the winners will get their championship shots at All In. I've seen some people be Chrome with a bold prediction that Jack Perry is going to win this. We shall see. That we've got our first we've got our first pick of the tournament so far. JL saying, "Look, he's a WWE fan through thick and thin, but they did not copy WWE. People need to get off Levesque's case. He's not going to. Yeah, can't finish all that. But I do agree. I don't think AEW's copying WWE here. I think realistically, when you're going towards the biggest show of the year, which All In is now for AEW, you need to establish how someone becomes the number one contender and how someone punches their ticket to the main event. I think that's very fair. If they had done a battle royale of any type, they'd be accused of copying the Royal Rumble. I think the tournament, even though the timing of it is unfortunate considering the announcement of the King of the Ring tournament leading to a title shot at SummerSlam, as unfortunate as that is, I think this was the right call. And as someone who, I speak for the pod when I say this, we've all gotten a little burnt out on how many tournaments AEW tends to have. At least now, this tournament that was going to happen no matter what has an impact, has a reason to exist other than to just honor Owen Hart. So I'm happy about this. I'm excited for this. I think it's going to lead to a much more exciting tournament and a much more meaningful tournament. So we'll JL saying he thought Double or Nothing was the biggest show. For the longest time, AEW's 4 pay-per-views were on equal level. There was no intent on there being one bigger than the other. Whether AEW Double or Nothing, AEW Revolution, AEW Full Gear, and then there's so many at this point. But no, none of them were meant to be bigger than the other. Now that All In exists, All Out, that was the 4th. Now that All In exists, All In is intended to be the biggest pay-per-view of their company. They established that with their attendance record. They established that with their storytelling for the show. This is very clearly meant to be their Mania. Chrome saying, scapegoat Jack Perry dethrones Swerve at All In. Bold claim. Has run like Authority Rollins. Then Darby returns from this injury and dethrones Perry. Or you can do that with MJF defending AEW from Perry. I think there's a lot of potential for both. And I'd be excited either way. JL saying Swerve is champ. Feels like mid-card. I I don't know that I necessarily agree. I think he's had a rough go of it, considering he had to compete with Anarchy in the arena, which was always going to main event. But they do their best to really make Swerve feel like a big deal. Chrome disagrees, saying Swerve doesn't feel like mid-card at all. Christian is the one that looked bad. I'm going to be honest, I didn't have a problem with either man. I did have a little bit of a problem with the structuring of the match, but we'll get to that as we get further along in the recap. MJ, we'll talk about that too. But yes, very excited for the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and let's put in the comments. We already saw who Chrome thinks is going to win. Tell us who you think might be in it and who could be the winner. In the final pre-show segment, we had a trios match as the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass took on the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. Look, quite frankly, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about with this match. It was fine. It was good for a pre-show match. It got the crowd pumped, considering the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass are so over. But it didn't really need to do much beyond that. Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn, reminding us all what a physical specimen he was as he went into a pose-off with Brian Cage and just showed off that physique of his that at 60 years old is better than I will ever have, no matter how old I live to be. Bowen's fighting through what was meant to be a very gnarly leg injury to come in, make the save so Caster can get the win, rolling up and getting the 1-2-3. Fine matchup. I really hope the Acclaimed find direction soon. They are too popular not to. We may be looking at an eventual split, because quite frankly, I don't know what else there is for these guys to do unless they become multi-time champions of some sort. But time will tell. Let's just hope for something with them, right? Chrome saying for the women's, it has to be Jamie Hayter to win the title at All In. I completely agree. I completely agree. Let's see if she's healthy enough. I really hope so. Last report I heard was she's still a way off from actually being healthy enough to wrestle, but maybe that was just a misdirection on report side. But back to the show, we are now starting the first match of the main card, which was a doozy, as the AEW International Championship was defended as Roderick Strong with the Kingdom defended against Will Ospreay, the Aerial Assassin. Now, guys, from bell to bell, this was action-packed. There was never any let-up. There was never any breathing room. As soon as the entrances were still happening, when Will Ospreay tried to hit a hidden blade on Roderick Strong before the lights even came back on. Excellent spot. Roddy, being the crafty veteran that he was, knew to dodge it, and that led to Ospreay attacking the rest of the Kingdom that was with him, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. As he's taking them out of the ring, Roddy brings the fight to him. And this was a strike fest, guys. Commentary talked about it. Commentary that also, I don't know if I said, I apologize, had Don Callis. I don't know that that's true. I'm going to go with JL's comment here that Ospreay buried that group. One, that group is already in pretty rough shape. Since they were unveiled at World's End, we have not really had a moment to ever really bask in their glory. Sorry, Keith Lee. They've just been there. Ospreay didn't really do anything to make them look bad, in my opinion. He held his own, but even then, the numbers game did take its toll on him. At one point early on in the match, there was a scary spot as Taven and Bennett had Ospreay on one of their shoulders outside the ring, and the other did a tope suicida from the ring to the outside, and Will had a nasty bump landing on his head. I got really nervous. The match took a pause for like 10 seconds. Thankfully, everything seemed to be okay, but I don't think he made anybody look bad. JL saying too many factions. AEW, like New Japan before it, is a very faction-heavy company. I don't mind it because it makes sense that guys who are friends are going to roll together. So there are different types of factions where you have like Blackpool Combat Club, where it's a group of guys who train together and sometimes fight together. And then there's guys like the Elite who get involved in all of each other's business, or in this instance, the Kingdom. So I think as long as it's not always feeling like gang warfare, it's okay. But I am a fan of factions personally. But getting back to the match, this, like I said, this was a strike-heavy match. Commentary spoke about it. They said how Roddy is the striking expert. He's obviously it's what he's known for with those chops and with those knees. But Ospreay did his best to hold on. He definitely tried to match Roddy strike for strike. And even if Roddy won in points, Ospreay was definitely holding his own. After that nasty dive, Strong continues to control the action. He trades blows with Ospreay, and despite having the advantage, in continuance of having the advantage, he dropped Ospreay with a backbreaker. Will then rallied with an acrobatic kick, and then hits another kick. Taven and Bennett distract the referee, allowing Wardlow, who wasn't with them for the entrance, to come in through the crowd, and he goes to powerbomb Will, but the referee backed up into it. The referee then stops him. Ospreay takes advantage and takes out the Undisputed Kingdom with a dive to the outside. Not Wardlow, mind you. After that dive, all of the Undisputed Kingdom get ejected to the back, and Ospreay hits a springboard forearm. Will and Roddy then trade blows again, and after a super kick takes out Strong, he goes for the hidden blade and locks in a single leg crab. Will went for a hidden blade, and Roddy counters into a single leg crab. I thought it was really good. He then transitions that into a Texas Cloverleaf, and he keeps hitting forearms that are slamming into Ospreay. He then hits a superplex and a backbreaker for only a 2 count. Will then catches Strong with a pop-up powerbomb that was just super fast. Blink and you miss it. Really good move up. And then the men continue to exchange strikes and counters before Ospreay hits an Oz Cutter. As the referee, this is big. Now, this is where the story comes into this excellent matchup, guys. As the referee is checking on Roddy, just like he had checked on Will earlier in the match when Will's knee got buckled on the rope, Don Callis leaves the announce table and goes to Will to convince him to hit the Tiger Driver. Will doesn't want to do it, but Callis gets in his head and forces him to hit the move. As Will has Roddy locked in the move, he stops himself, realizes that he can't do it after retiring the move after what it had done to Bryan Danielson in their matchup. As he refuses to hit it, Roddy counters into an Olympic slam, and then he goes and hits a massive rocket kick. Ospreay then takes control again and is able to hit the Stormbreaker for the 1-2-3, and we have a new AEW International Champion in Will Ospreay. Commentary got on Callis' case for trying to force him to do it, and Callis says, if you have the opportunity to put somebody in the hospital, if you got to put them in the chair, you do it. You do what you have to get the win. So we're seeing some friction between Will Ospreay and Don Callis. We knew it was coming. Will being the baby face to the end, doing what he thought was right and still managing to get the win. Great storytelling, great matchup. You're glad this match had no outside interference. I mean, it did, but they were able to control it, thankfully. We then go to, oh boy, an in-ring segment with Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole walking on his own, by himself, by the way. No help, down to the ring. Adam comes out and addresses the crowd. He's got something in his pocket, by the way. He says he shouldn't be there as he should be home and rehabbing his ankle. Cole says nobody knows the hell that he's been through, but he still gets disrespected. He calls himself one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation, and he says that the devil will get his due. That's what he had in his pocket, by the way. The devil mask that he used to torment MJF for months. when all of a sudden the lights go out and a video plays on the screen. It is a perspective shot of someone walking through their home, down a hallway, and into a room that just so happens to have so much MJF gear and memorabilia. Then they show that Burberry scarf that we all know and love. And as he goes and reaches into the jacket pocket to pull out a picture of Adam Cole that's torn in half, he pulls out the other side of it, and it's the picture of Better Than You, Baby. And it's MJF and Adam Cole together. And that's when MJF's music hits and he walks down to the ring. Cole tries to go for the hug. God bless him. God bless him for doing his best with that. He goes for the hug. MJF teases he's going to do it. He goes for the hug. And then afterwards, he kicks Cole right in the grapefruits. And then he slams him with a brainbuster. Very excited to see if MJF is actually going to be using a brainbuster more. He gets on the microphone and calls Adam Cole. Let's see how much time we're into this. Yep, I could start cursing, guys. He calls Adam Cole a son of a bitch. He says, somebody get this shit stain out of my ring. MJF says that because of Cole, he's not going to trust anyone anymore. He said that all Cole did was wake him up and help him remember who he is. He calls himself the greatest wrestler on the planet and a generational talent. MJF says he didn't need a New Japan or a Vince McMahon to make him MJF because MJF made MJF. Great line. He says, no more BS, no more love. It's all hate from now on. We're not going to be seeing any kangaroo kicks anymore. He says, nobody is safe. He's done apologizing that he's the best. MJF says that compared to him, all your other favorites suck a bag of donkey dicks. And nobody is on the level of the devil. MJF then grabs that devil mask and says the devil mask and everything it represents can go to hell. It's for cowards to hide behind. And that, and this was the most interesting part. So not the most, we're going to get to that. He then spits on it, stomps it, and then throws it into the crowd. I don't think we're ever going to see that devil mask ever again. He then says there's been a lot of questions about his allegiance, where he's going to go, what his contract status is, what's going on. And MJF unveiled on his leg, he's got a AEW Bet on Yourself tattoo. He says he's calling the Wolf of Wrestling because he's not going fucking anywhere. Oh, and I do got a comment. Thank you for reminding me to say it, JL. So is MJF the 2002 Triple H face with the heel attitude? He came out wearing the leather denim jacket that Triple H returned with when he went to win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania 18, his famous leather denim jacket. MJF knowing how to play all the marks, knowing how to play everybody into falling for his trap. A great look for him. Hunter, hey Hunter, how you doing? How long did MJF sign with AEW? I don't know. The rumor is that he signed an extension back in 2022, which shouldn't shock anybody. It's something that I think we all saw. We all kind of knew. We just didn't have any confirmation on, any official confirmation on. I'm going to say he's going to be there for a while. If the kid got a tattoo on his body with the letters AEW, I don't think he's looking to leave for WWE anytime soon. But time will tell, as always. And for everybody's sake, I hope he stays. Because I can't imagine MJF anywhere else. Yeah, I'm not saying he wouldn't thrive anywhere else, because he absolutely would. But MJF in AEW just makes sense. JL saying, bro, he got an AEW tattoo. I don't think he's leaving in the next 10 years. Yeah, no, I think he's going to be there for a while. And like I said, I am all for it. But moving on, if I may, we then had our next matchup, which was a AEW for the Unified Trios Championship, as the Bang Bang Gang, formerly known as Bullet Club Gold, defended against Death Triangle. This was a fun matchup. You know, it didn't go super, super long, but it did. Considering all the talent involved, they fit in a lot of wrestling. I think it was very telling. The commentary noted we haven't seen a Death Triangle trios match in like 16 months, which kind of hurt my brain to think about. But I think the reality of it is, and they talked about, at one point or another, everybody in Death Triangle was hurt. At one point or another, somebody was either dealing with visa issues or health issues or this or that. And we hadn't had all three members on the roster at the same time in quite some time. So this was their first trios match in quite a while, and it didn't feel like it. They had all the chemistry we remember, all the moves that we remember, all the excitement that we remember from Death Triangle. They brought it out in this matchup, and I thought they did a fantastic job. The match started with Jay White, but he quickly tagged out to Colton. Pac drops in with a hip toss, and then Pac caught Austin with two hip tosses and clotheslined him over to the top rope. Penta then tagged in and squares off with Austin. Penta and Phoenix double team Austin, and Death Triangle gang up on Colton. Phoenix and Penta then dive onto the guns at ringside, and White goes for the Blade Runner, but Pac countered. White then planted Pac on his head, and he dropped Pac with a neck breaker. This allows the guns to then ground Pac. As the champions continued to isolate Pac, he rallied and tagged in Penta, who cleared house with a flurry of offense. Phoenix then hit a great kick on Colton, and the Lucha Bros double-teamed Austin. As Jay then broke up a pin attempt. This then allowed the Lucha Bros to hit White with some, their patented offense, their patented tag team offense, and that allowed Pac to tag in and dump White with a great German suplex. The match then broke down as both teams fought, all six men, bodies were flying. Pac then caught Colton with another German suplex, and the challengers were taking control. As Pac was going for his finish, and he's going, I'm sorry, not Pac, as Phoenix was going for his finish, out of nowhere comes Rock Hard himself, Juice Robinson. Catches and trips up Phoenix and then causes the distraction, allowing Pac to get hit with the Blade Runner by Jay White and get the 1-2-3 win. It's happened. He's back. I was going to say Bullet Club Gold, but the Bang Bang Gang is complete once again. I have missed Juice Robinson so much. I have loved the dynamic. I have loved the chemistry of these three guys, but Juice was missing, and everything feels right in that world again. I'll be very interested to see how long the dynamic stays as is. I wonder if we may see a Freebird rule of some sort. Who knows? I don't. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And they're going to get up to some antics. And I am here for it. So welcome back, Juice Robinson. Great, great showing. We then move on to our next title match of the night as we get the AEW Women's World Championship. Wrong one. Wrong one again, guys. I'm sorry. As Timeless Toni Storm, who is accompanied by Mariah May and Luther, defended her championship against Serena Deeb. Guys, there were so many points where I could have sworn this match was going to be over. These two women fought a hard match, and I will say it. Both women's matches tonight, absolutely, all three, because pre-show included, all three women's matches absolutely delivered tonight. So happy to see this representation on the card, one of which being a part of the triple main event. I do feel bad for Toni. I think she is just as worthy of a main event match, considering how much she is doing for AEW and how popular this gimmick is. But like all stars, they know to just go with the show. But the match started with Storm and Serena locking up and feeling each other out. Serena gained the upper hand and ground Toni. Toni then sent Deeb out to the floor with a hip attack, and then Deeb hit the dragon screw. She trapped Storm in an octopus stretch, but Storm was able to reach the ropes with her teeth. Storm then rallied, but Deeb got a 2 count with a backslide. Toni then hits a DDT and a fisherman suplex to get her own 2 count. They then got into a submission battle as Serena locked in a Texas Cloverleaf. She then hit her with a flurry of strikes. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I said Serena, but no, it was Tony. Tony locked in a Texas Cloverleaf, but Serena was able to counter with a flurry of strikes and get out of it. She then hit Storm with a neck breaker and then dumped her on her head with a German suplex. I love Serena's German suplexes. I think they're great. And I think she, I know everybody knows her as a worker, so it's not shocking to say this, but I think she is just one of the best workers on the roster, man or woman. Serena then got 2 count after a lariat, and that allows, then Storm hits Deeb with a massive slam for a 2 count. Serena then trapped her in a single leg crab, and this is where things get super interesting, guys. Mariah May, as she's watching Tony, her mentor, her beloved mentor, locked in this submission, she looks to grab her towel and throw it in the ring and to give up the match for Tony. Luther then stopped her. He grabbed the towel out of her hand, allowing Tony to have enough time to make it to the ropes and to grab and break up the submission. She pulls herself out of the ring and sees Luther with the towel and blames him for it. Luther didn't know what to say. Mariah certainly didn't take the blame. And then Tony goes back into the ring, and Deeb tried to roll her up for a 2 count. Tony then dropped Deeb with a German suplex, and then she hits a Storm Zero for a 2 count. Guys, I thought that was going to be it. 1 second, I'm totally going to cough right now, and I apologize. You're going to hear a lot of coughing, so I apologize, guys. After that 2 count, Tony is caught up in the ropes, and this allows Serena to hit like 3 or 4 dragon screws onto her leg. It was brutal. She then slammed Tony onto the apron and easily could have been the finish. She hits it one more time, doesn't get the pin. Both women then go to the top rope, and Tony is able to hit a Storm Zero pile driver from the second rope, and then hit a second one on the once they got up again, and gets finally the 1, 2, 3. Personally, I would have ended it after the pile driver off of the top rope. I don't think you needed to hit a second one. It looked a little clunky for me, but hey, if you want the win, you do what you do. So great matchup between these women. Great storytelling. Tony went up the ramp by herself and not passed out, but laid back and just sort of writhed there until Mariah joined her in celebration. Look, the towel thing is a play on what happened a few weeks ago, about a month ago, when Tony threw in the towel when Mariah was facing Serena to determine who was going to be the number 1 contender. She threw in the towel, thus ensuring that she would instead face Serena as opposed to Mariah May. And the story was that she was doing it because she couldn't bear to see her in pain. Or is it that she didn't want to defend the title against Serena? Against Mariah, I'm sorry. Maybe Mariah wanted to return the favor this time. This is a very interesting story, and we're definitely going to see how it plays out. But one of the bigger things, one of the things that was very interesting to see was Tony was playing the heel in this matchup, and Serena was playing the face. The crowd did not care. They were not giving anything to Serena, and they were all over Tony. They're putting themselves in a very interesting position by continuing this with Tony, whether or not she's going to stay as a heel or if the crowd's going to just force her into being a babyface. Really, it's not going to be a problem with most of her challengers, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens when she does split with Mariah May. Are the fans going to stick with Tony, or are they going to start to side with Mariah? Who's supposed to be the face in that situation? Who's supposed to be the heel? I don't know yet. There's still a lot of story to tell, but I'm excited. Hey, you know it. Welcome back to the chat. Sorry I missed you a minute ago. We then get to our first, I believe, non-title match, as we have on the main show, as we have a grudge match between former best friends Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy. Guys, this one was ferocious. Most importantly, Danny's not here. but on his behalf, I need to express this. The most important thing of the night happened when Orange Cassidy came out with this throwback music, Where Is My Mind? As Danny so eloquently put it, the feeling is back in AEW. Orange Cassidy coming out to his music, the right music. Excellent, excellent way to get everybody excited in the show continuing. But as we get to the actual matchup, he and Trent started brawling basically right away. Trent evaded a very early orange punch, and the two just continued to trade blows. They were basically hockey fighting for a good minute, these two guys. They stopped for a second to catch their breath just to continue it up again. And it wasn't like corny or silly looking. It felt totally natural. Orange then slammed Beretta on his head onto the turnbuckle. He then hit a diving crossbody and a diving DDT. Orange then dove onto Beretta ringside, and the brawl continues, this time outside. Trent targeted Orange's throat and grounded Orange. He then dumped Orange with a German suplex, and then Trent slammed Orange again and just had full control of the matchup for a while. Orange then put his hands in his pockets, but Beretta just unloaded when that happened. Sorry, guys. Orange rallied with a flurry of offense before Beretta spiked him with a pile driver onto the apron. Orange then fired up with a beach break onto the floor. Both men just kept the action going, just absolute nonstop speed. Trent then got a 2 count following the Dude Buster. And then Orange hit a beach break again, this time for his own 2 count. Orange then caught Beretta with a pin out of nowhere. Quick, like honestly, I almost missed it. And he's able to hit the 1, 2, 3. Trent looked super frustrated following the matchup. He was super upset and didn't even acknowledge that he lost, really, or didn't even acknowledge that Orange beat him. He just kind of left. As he's walking up near the ramp, Rocky Romero comes out to try and talk to him, but Trent won't acknowledge him. And then Renee tried to interview him, and he says, "I'm not doing this. He can't do this. He's done." And then he just leaves through the crowd. I am kind of shocked they went this way. I like Trent. I think this heel turn is kind of what he needed, even though it makes us all sad. But to give him such a big loss so early, unless they have a really interesting story to tell with him, I'm worried about what this is going to do to his momentum. But again, time will tell. Time will tell. I love the ferocity of this match. I love the story of these two guys who have used to love each other and now can't even stand to look at each other. Just nonstop action. I thought that's how you sell a grudge match. So great job with these two men. Hey, Beck. Thank you for being here. Yep, no, we are late. The show ended around like 12:30. So doing my best out here. Hope you're having a good night, friend. We then go back to our title match, but realistically, it's also how much of a title match is it? As the FTW Championship is defended in a triple threat as Chris Jericho took on Hook and Katsuyori Shibata. Guys, I've been saying it over and over and over and over. Chris Jericho has fooled us into actually caring again. None of us wanted to. We all wanted him gone. We wanted him to take time off. We wanted him to go away. He's played into it so beautifully that this was a super fun matchup. I hate it. I hate how much I enjoyed it. These guys wrestling in FTW rules in this triple threat. Thank you, Beck. I appreciate you, and you're great. Remember it. This match had everything. From kendo stick fighting, to tables, to the mystery bag, the mystery black velvet bag. What was in it? Dice. Of course, we're in Vegas. It's double or nothing. You got to stick to the theme. Instead of broken glass, instead of thumbtacks, it was dice. So much dice. We saw them being thrown at each other. We saw people being dropped on them. We saw them just countless suplexes, countless drops onto those dice. And guys, I don't know if you've ever accidentally stepped on a dice. They hurt more than you think. they kind of suck. As somebody who plays D&D, let me tell you, ow. But they took them like champs, these guys. We then get near the end of the match, and Hook, after having suplexed Jericho onto the dice once again, Hook put him on the table, and then Shibata takes Hook to the top rope, and then tries to drop Hook through Jericho through the table, but they couldn't quite land it. The table lands to the side. It looked kind of nasty, if I'm going to be honest. And then they try to go for the table spot again, and they actually succeed with it as they set the table up in the corner, and Shibata just throws Jericho through the table. Shibata, this was then my favorite spot of the match, and it didn't have any weapons or any outside stuff to it. It was just pure wrestling. Shibata has Jericho locked in a Buddha lock, and before he could arch back to really lock it in on the head, Hook tries to interfere. He grabs Hook by the ankle, and he hits an ankle lock, locking both men in a submission at the same time. Great stuff. There is a reason they call Shibata just the wrestler, because man, oh man, can he do it well. Hook then suplexed Shibata onto the dice, and then Jericho dropped Hook with a code breaker. He only gets the 1-2. Hook then counters a Judas effect and traps him in the red rum. Unfortunately, we were all expecting it. Big Bill came out, hits a massive elbow drop onto Hook. But as they're fighting, they get to the apron, and Hook sends Bill flying with an overhead suplex through the table on the outside. Guys, with the way he crashed through the table, he was this close. I'm not exaggerating. He was this close to having the table leg go through him. It was terrifying. Thank God everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Thank God he seems okay. Thank God he averted disaster, because that would have been awful. But it kept going. After that table spot, Shibata is about to be locked into the walls of Jericho, but he's able to counter it into a figure 4 leg lock. Then Hook runs in, and he locks the red rum on Jericho, reminiscent in the triple threat that determined that both of these men would be number 1 contenders for this title on Dynamite on Wednesday. As both men have Jericho locked in their respective submissions, a hooded masked man, yes, he was both hooded and masked, runs in and attacks both Hook and Shibata. The masked man then revealed himself to be the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. Hook is able to fight him off, but Jericho hits the Judas effect and pins Shibata to retain the FTW Championship. Guys, I've been saying it. It's not what we imagined. We all needed a break. We all wanted a break. But if Jericho's staying, there are worse ways to keep him around. He's involved in a title that doesn't matter. He's involved in a title picture that doesn't matter. He's working with young guys to help make them look good. I mean, sorry, Shibata, I love you. You're not really a young guy, but you don't have that much exposure. So he's helping a lot of guys get exposure right now. He's got 2 guys under his wing who I'm a big fan of that weren't doing much in Brian Keith and Big Bill. So I think this is a win. It's a weird one. It's a win that I think maybe we'd be okay if we didn't get, but it's a win. So Jericho does it again, guys. We really are all under his learning tree. Anyway, I don't even know what to say. But as Jericho is celebrating, Hook chases him up the ramp. Security tries to stop him, but Hook just keeps suplexing his private security and then chases Jericho to the back. Great stuff. We know the story is going to continue. Jericho now has 2 men by his side in a 3-on-2 situation. Let's see if a certain Samoan may get involved and help Shibata and Hook even the odds. We then go to our title eliminator, our very controversial title eliminator match tonight, as the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship's fate was in the balance as Jon Moxley took on Konosuke Takeshita in a title eliminator match. Guys, this was a good match. Stop complaining. Stop complaining that it was a title eliminator. It should have been a title match, or the other title match should have been a title eliminator match. Blah, 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 blah. Enjoy the wrestling. These were two excellent performers putting on a great, great matchup. An unexpected matchup. The story was not what I was expecting when this was announced a couple weeks ago. As Jon Moxley was on Collision last night and got attacked by Takeshita before the bout, he had attacked Moxley's arm with a chair, and Moxley came out all wrapped up, all bandaged up, and really selling the danger he was in. Moxley took the fight to Takeshita very early, and Takeshita, of course, targeted the injured arm. By the way, important to note, Don Callis was on commentary for the Will Ospreay match. He was on commentary for the Orange Cassidy match. He was not on commentary for this match, as he chose to be at Takeshita's side, ringside. So there's a reason, there's a story, we'll get to it, but important to note. He, after targeting the arm, he dropped Moxley with a hammerlock slam. Takeshita then slams Moxley arm first onto the apron. It was brutal. That shoulder, even if it wasn't ever hurt, it would have hurt after that. It was a gnarly, gnarly spot, and Moxley sold it like death. He then, Moxley rallies, they brawl ringside, and Takeshita kicks Moxley's arm while it's trapped in a chair. He then spiked Moxley with a brainbuster and continued to target the arm. This was excellent storytelling in this matchup between these two guys. Excellent psychology, as Takeshita just kept going after the arm, and Moxley sold it beautifully. Out of nowhere, Moxley is able to fire up and hit a cutter, and then Takeshita is able to turn it into an armbar. Moxley then transitions into a triangle choke. He's definitely been working out with Brian, but Takeshita is able to slam his way out of it, dropping Moxley. Takeshita then went for Moxley's eyes, and Moxley dove at him, hitting a suicida to the outside. Both men get back in the ring, and Moxley levels Takeshita with a lariat. Takeshita then dumped John with a wheelbarrow German suplex. You know that one that he hits after like the pile driver that he does? Excellent, beautiful spot. Always, no matter how many times I see it, I'm going to love it. Moxley then hits a paradigm shift. Both men trade blows, and then Takeshita gets a 2 count after a knee strike. Really connected with it, too. Moxley then goes for a Death Rider, but he gets sent shoulder first into the ring post. Takeshita then drills him with a stiff shot and then hits a Death Rider of his own, but he's only able to get a 2 count. Again, now this is where good old Don Callis comes into it. Takeshita more or less had John down, and all he needed to do was hit another move, and he would probably had it. But Don convinces Takeshita to come out and get a chair. He then slides the chair into the ring, and as he's sliding into the ring, Mox hits him with a curb stomp. He got height on this curb stomp, guys. It was... Seth would be proud. He hits a curb stomp onto the chair, and then he hits a Death Rider for the win. He will not be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Takeshita anytime soon. So, very interesting to see how when one member of the Don Callis family listened to Don, he lost, and when one member of the Don Callis family didn't listen to Don, he won. It'll be a fun Wednesday when they get to that. We then get a video package hyping up what I really thought was going to be the most brutal match of the night, guys. I really did. As the TNT Championship was up for grabs. Ooh, did I not put it in? All right, guys, you're just going to have to trust me on this one. As the AEW TNT Championship was up for grabs, as Adam Copeland defended his championship against Malachi Black in a barbed wire steel cage match. Guys, this was bloody from like the opening few minutes. These guys... Oh, first off, let's not bury the lead. Copeland, of course, coming out with new music, a new entrance, red lighting and fire, very Brood reminiscent. It even goes to say the Brood on the Titantron on the screen. The man just loves his Brood time. He just does. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. As both men are in the ring and the bell rings, the competitors take the fight to each other very early on. They got chairs. There were tables in the ring from the get-go. There were chairs in the ring from the get-go. The top of the cage was surrounded in barbed wire and covered in barbed wire. The posts were covered in barbed wire. The turnbuckles were covered in barbed wire. Everything was barbed wire covered. They get chairs and they start swinging them at each other over and over, just clapping the chairs over each other. And then Cope is able to get the upper hand. Copeland then grinds barbed wire into Black's head, busting it. Like I said, they were bleeding very quickly. Malachi then tried to do the same, but Copeland fought out of it a couple of times. Copeland then slammed Black into the cage wall and hits a Liger bomb. Wow. Malachi then rallied and kicked Copeland's leg as he's on the turnbuckle, sending Cope face first into the turnbuckle and getting him busted open. Really well done. Malachi then ground the barbed wire into Adam's forehead, and Copeland hits Black in the midsection with a bat. I'm pretty sure it was a barbed wire bat. He then ground Black's forehead into the barbed. Yeah, it was a barbed wire bat. Sorry, guys. I wrote these notes hours ago at this point, so I'm a little tired. By the way, just got to say it. Thank you for being here this late. I know it's almost 2 a.m. here on the East Coast. Thank you so much. If you're new to us, hey, if you're liking me, if you like my voice or tolerate my face, hit that like button, hit subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Stick with us. We cover all the wrestling, no matter the company. But as both men are continuing, they both try to climb the wall, and Black kicks his leg out, crotching him on the top rope. Owie. I think at one point Shivani said, I'd rather bleed than have that done to me. And Nigel hit him with just a nasty burn. Well, you actually use your blood. Shameful, Nigel. Shameful. Both men are then continuing the battle on the ropes, and then Malachi slammed Copeland through a table, only to get a 2 count. Cope then drops Black with a spear out of nowhere, but doesn't get the win. Copeland then hits a stalling pile driver, and then he puts Black onto the tape. I hope JL's still here for this because we're getting ready to talk about it. But he puts Malachi on a table, wraps barbed wire around him and around the table, puts barbed wire, I believe, on his face as well, and then he climbs to the top rope. And then he climbs past the top rope and climbs to the top of the cage. He then dove off the top of the cage, hitting an elbow drop, which, as JL said, was not a pretty elbow drop. He kind of just, instead of landing on his side, he kind of landed on his feet with his elbow out and then just drove himself through the table. It worked. It flowed naturally. Everything felt right. This wasn't pretty. But, hey, he dove off the top of a friggin' cage. Matt and Jeff Hardy somewhere were very proud of their friend Adam Copeland. But it's not enough. Maybe if he did put his whole body into it, he would have gotten the 3. He only gets the 2 count and then counters a spear into the end. Guys, this was super well done. Like, just the timing was flawless. Edge. Adam went for that spear, dove right into his foot. It looked great. Black then hits Copeland with some strikes and then kicks Copeland and sends him crashing through the cage wall. The cage wall bursting and falling as Cope goes to the outside. Malachi falls into the outside and Cope hits a spear onto the floor. This then brings out the House of Black. This brings out Buddy Matthews and Brody King. They tease for a second, turning on Malachi. At first they stood with him, and then as Adam and Malachi are, like, I guess, on their knees looking at each other across from each other, they then switch over to Copeland's side. Malachi looks terrified and confused. Copeland looks a little confused, but then this allows Brody to hit a massive clothesline and just drop Copeland. Both men, Buddy and Brody, take turns beating him down before throwing him back into the ring. Once they're in the ring, all three men gang up on him, and this is when things get crazier. The lights turn red, and the dark music starts playing again. Bursting through the ring mat is Gangrel, and he attacks both Buddy Matthews and Brody King, spitting, I guess, either mist or was blood into their faces, dropping them with impaler DDTs before Malachi hits the end on Gangrel, dropping him, giving Copeland just enough time to hit a spear. He then wraps a barbed wire he wraps barbed wire around Malachi's face and locks in a crossface until Malachi passes out, getting the win. Adam Copeland retaining the TNT Championship. Now, guys, this is going to be a controversial one. It just is. There are going to be people who, no matter how epic the match was, no matter how good a performance Adam did, is going to say he should have dropped the title to Malachi. I don't know how I feel. I had a sneaking suspicion he was going to retain coming into the pay-per-view. After he dropped all that blood on Malachi on Wednesday, I knew there was no way they were going to do something so cool with him just to have him lose. I feel bad because Malachi needs something. He shouldn't have something. He needs something. He's been doing a whole lot of nothing for a very long time, and this title would have been great for him. I'm not ready to turn on Copeland quite yet. This is what led to a lot of people, myself included, starting to wish he kind of went away when he was still in WWE, when he just kept going over everybody. That Finn Balor match at WrestleMania being, I think, the most egregious example. But look, he's wrestling a lot of young talent, and he's giving them a lot of TV time. This title reign is still relatively young. It's still relatively early in the reign that I'm willing to give him some grace. I wish he didn't go over all three members of the House of Black in less than a month. It's not a good look for them, but let's see. Depending on who he drops to and when he drops it to them, rough. Oh, let's go to the comments real quick. Eric asking, who the hell is Brian Keith? Yeah, you just got to actually watch. Just watch the product. You'll know. Wrestled on Wednesday. Sup, Navarro? How is Double or Nothing? You're so glad MJF is back. Dude, I know here on the pod, and I said it to the guys in the chat, I know I'm one of those guys who gets overly excited a lot, and I mark out a lot. It's the Mark It Down podcast, crazy. But I know I'm a mark. I think this is one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long time. I don't know how to describe how awesome this pay-per-view was. Go back, check out the rest of the video. You'll see me go crazy, go gaga over everything that we saw. Even other people in the comments were saying how excellent this pay-per-view was. So I'm sorry you didn't get to watch it. I'm super happy for you that MJF is back. And dude, excellent promo. He needs to work on his spray tan skills, but excellent promo. I am so excited for him now that he's back. But beyond that, go check out the pay-per-view if you can, and check out the rest of the review later. But great matchup for the TNT Championship. After the match, Copeland and got his wedding ring back from the House of Black, the wedding ring that they took from him a few weeks ago, and then he celebrated in the middle of the ring with Gangrel and hugged him. Considering the reports that came out a week or so ago about Gangrel, WWE telling Copeland when he wanted Gangrel at WrestleMania 39, that fans wouldn't remember him. I'm super happy Gangrel got to have this moment. I'm super happy that Copeland and him were able to prove people wrong. Gangrel's awesome. He's a product of a long gone time, but just because the time is gone doesn't mean we can't remember it fondly. So good for Gangrel, good for Copeland. Sucks to be House of Black. Just does. Then we go backstage. We didn't get a lot of backstage segments, so it's okay. But backstage, Lexi Nair is with Don Callis and asked him about his interest in Orange Cassidy. He says it's been a great night for the Don Callis family. Callis praises Cassidy and says he will be on Dynamite to present a contract to the Don Callis family. See, the wording was interesting because he never specified that contract was for Orange. I'm still of the belief he's offering a contract to Trent Beretta. Makes it harder to justify considering Orange beat him very cleanly tonight. But Don makes a lot of weird choices, a lot of weird decisions that don't make sense to anybody, really. Let's see, it's saying throwing shade at a man, spray tan, low glow man. Look, you know it. I love MJF. I think the kid is one of the best there is today. It's not an over-exaggeration when he calls himself a generational talent. Did he forget his back? Did he forget that he has a back that he needs to tan as well? Because let me tell you, that front side, dark. Backside, paler than my thighs. And they're pretty pale. But still love them. Eric commenting on the audio tonight being crazy. He says he heard like 10 different calls in the ring. Personally, I didn't notice it, but I'm sure now that you brought it to my attention, I will when I rewatch it. Because that's how good this pay-per-view was, guys. I am going to go rewatch it. But I'm sorry it bothered you, bud. Orange spots throughout his body? What are you talking about? Oh, MJF. Yeah. Yeah. A little heavy-handed. We then go to our first of the 3 main events of the night as the TBS Championship is defended as Willow Nightingale defended her championship against Mercedes Moné. Everything. Beautiful matchup between these two women. These two incredible ladies, these two incredible fighters. Mercedes Moné getting a special entrance right out the gate, as she has cheerleaders on the stage, a musical act. Everything was there. Everything was over the top, really playing into this oblivious heel that she doesn't realize she is. But as opposed to Willow's more understated entrance that she came out with Stokely and Chris Statlander, where both of them wearing a very, very comically large friendship bracelet around their bodies. The match started pretty quickly with Moné talking trash, but Willow taking the fight to her, not backing down. Willow slammed Moné onto the apron, and then she continued to control the match and overpower Moné. Willow's leg got stuck on the rope, and Moné targeted it. This would play throughout the rest of the match as Willow really, really sold the hell out of her leg as Moné continued to target it. Moné trapped Willow into an ankle lock, and both women then exchanged blows. Moné then dropped Willow with a dragon screw and continued to target the ankle, and then hitting Willow with a backstabber. Moné then wrenched Willow into an abdominal stretch, and then Willow transitioned that into an ankle lock. Really good counter. She then dropped Moné with a huge, huge pounce. Willow kept it going and got a 2 count after a spine buster. Then she slammed Moné to the mat and did a fisherman suplex. Mercedes then dropped Nightingale with a power bomb from the corner, similar to what we got at King of the Ring yesterday, or King and Queen of the Ring yesterday, with Valkyria and Nia, except the sunset power bomb actually worked. Willow was able to fire up and hit a knee breaker onto the apron, and then she goes for a cannonball, but Mercedes was able to evade it. Moné then hit a massive Meteora to the outside. As the two women get back in the ring and are Mercedes tries to get Willow back into the ring as Statlander is cheering Willow on the outside. As she's cheering her on, Mercedes throws Stat to the floor, and this causes a distraction. As both women are back in the ring, Statlander and Stokely are arguing with the referee, and Willow hits the power bomb onto Mercedes, getting more than a 3 count, but Aubrey Edwards is unable to see it because of the distraction. She turns around, goes for it, but Willow's only able to get a 2 count. Monet then is able to lock in a crossface onto Willow, who is able to just barely get to the ropes. As she gets to the corner, Mercedes is able to turn it into a Monet maker and get the win. And in her first match in AEW, Mercedes is now the TBS champion. Guys, both women just delivered an excellent matchup. Really go check this one out. Mercedes looked desperate throughout this match, almost as if she had lost, all of her confidence would zap away from her. Willow looked like the fighting champion who overcame the odds and did everything she could to stay on top, but unfortunately just wasn't able to hold on to her belt. Nothing to be ashamed of. Excellent matchup between these two ladies. As Mercedes goes up the ramp and looks like she stole the biggest win of her career, holding on to that TBS title, Willow is still in the ring being comforted by Statlander when Stokely gets in her face, confronting her about the loss. Statlander pushes her away, helps Willow up, and yells at Stokely, saying, "Not tonight, leave her alone." As Statlander helps Willow up the ramp, she then slams her onto the floor, turning on Willow, and then dropping her with a discus clothesline. Stokely is all smiles, the man and woman celebrating after the betrayal and the beatdown, and we knew it was coming. We felt the winds of change in the air. Nobody's going to be super happy about this. I know a few people that are going to be really upset, but I'm happy that Statlander has a good direction. We're going to get a great feud out of Stat and Willow moving forward, and Mercedes has a whole list of challengers. Now, after this long wait for her first match in AEW, I really hope she starts to knock a few out pretty early. Don't want to see this be a trend that continues, but good job to Mercedes Moné. Good job to Willow Nightingale. Very excited for Chris Statlander. We then go to our second main event of the night. And I knew that there were some people who thought this was going to be the official main event. But guys, come on. You have to know better. Nothing was going to go over Anarchy in the arena. It wouldn't have been fair. Considering what we got with Anarchy in the arena, good choice. So let me say, in this AEW World Championship match that saw Swerve Strickland defend against Christian Cage. All right, before I get into what was a little disappointing to me about the beginning of the matchup, let's talk about the entrance. As Swerve had a Warriors entrance, and by Warriors I mean the movie, The Warriors. Nana kept calling out, "Swerve, come out and play!" And then they had a great hype video showing Swerve's journey to the World Championship and everything he had to overcome and everything he had to fight through to get to that world title. It was a great hype package, a great video to be shown, and it really highlights how much they are invested in Swerve's story and his ascent to the championship and his current reign. But now I can get to the matchup. There were a lot of aggressive matches tonight. Almost every match tonight had fire. Almost every match to it was fast-paced from beginning to end. It's saying it was a cool movie back in the day, The Warriors. Yeah, it was. It was funny. They joked on commentary that it's an old movie, but I do think it was appropriate for everybody involved. But like I said, there was a lot of fire in this throughout the night. A lot of fast-paced action. A lot of grudge matches that were happening throughout the night, and I think they all got to properly show off the intensity of their feuds with how the matches played out and how the match started. Considering the intensity of this feud and everything Christian Cage took away from Swerve over the last few weeks, took his group from him. He cut his hair. He busted him open, bleeding, with a picture of his family. He challenged his family. He did all of these things to get under Swerve's skin. And the match started like a traditional classic wrestling match. There was a lockup. They were feeling each other out. Don't get me wrong. I like to see traditional classic chain wrestling. I like to see wrestling holds. I like to see all these things. But in a matchup that was so steeped in anger and hatred and high stakes, this wasn't the match to be a little slow in the start. Now, to both men's credit, they really, in my opinion, turned it around, and the back half of the match really fed into that story, really fed into that intensity and everything I was looking for. I just wish it didn't take so long to get there. But, maybe I'm nitpicking. I don't want to be that guy. I enjoyed the matchup, but it was just a weird way to get the match going. After feeling each other out and Swerve getting the upper hand, Christian is able to drop him with a DDT and grounds him. Swerve then sends Christian into the barricade onto the outside and rocked him with a kick. Christian then countered a dive and took control as he kept Strickland on the floor. Christian is able to stop a rally attempt with a quick DDT, and then he gets a 2 count once they're back in the ring with a frog splash. At this point, the patriarchy is just blatantly interfering, but Swerve is able to rally. He power slammed Christian and kept the momentum rolling. He then dropped Christian with a neck breaker and dove at him back out on the ringside. Both men get back in the ring, and Swerve is able to get a 2 count off of a crossbody, and Christian is able to avoid the house call and lock in a sharpshooter. Really locked it in, too. At this point, Mother Wayne is on the outside and grabs the AEW World Championship. Nana gets to the steel steps and stops her, but as he takes the belt away, Nick Wayne drives the ref's attention towards Nana, and this gets Nana ejected. As he's being sent out, Kill Switch and Nick Wayne continue to attack Strickland on the outside. Christian then tries to get Kill Switch to headbutt Strickland, but Strickland is able to duck, and instead that headbutt goes right in the cage. Swerve is able to fight off the patriarchy, but gets caught with a spear into a 1-2. Killswitch goes to interfere, but all 3 members of the patriarchy, Mother Wayne, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch get ejected. Swerve then catches Cage with a flatliner. Swerve then suplexes Christian onto the floor, and the fight continues as they battle on the apron. Swerve went for a tackle, but he crashed face first into the steps, and as the referee is distracted by Christian, Nick Wayne ran in and dropped Strickland with a cutter on. Really annoying. Nick Wayne's awesome. Christian then hits the kill switch for only a 2 count, and then Cage slapped Swerve. Sorry, guys, lots of S's in this. It's making me stutter a little bit. It's making me lisp. But Cage is able to slap Swerve and go for the kill switch onto the broadcast table. Swerve counters it into a massive Swerve stomp onto the table. It was so smooth. I don't know how he pulled it off, but it looked great and it felt great. Both men, they get back in the ring, and Swerve counters another attempted kill switch. Christian snaps his neck onto the ropes, and then as he goes for another spear, Swerve catches him beautifully. Just chef's kiss beautifully with a house call, and that sets up a Swerve stomp and gets the 1, 2, 3, and we have our first pay-per-view defense for Swerve Strickland as he celebrates afterwards with Nana. Nana, who came back out, by the way, to drive Nick Wayne out. Sorry I missed that before. Good matchup. Very happy they didn't make this the main event. It would have just been completely overlooked, and it didn't deserve it. Great showing for Swerve. I understand the thought process that a lot of people have, that his title reign is getting a little overshadowed due to all the elite stuff. Bear with it. I think he's doing an admirable job. They put him everywhere. They have him on all the shows, and he's just killing it, in my opinion, as champion. Very excited to see who his next challenger is. Guys, take a breather. We're about to get into the heavy stuff. We're about to get into stuff that I don't even know how to really talk about completely. But before we get into the main event, again, I want to thank you guys for being with me. It is after 2 a.m. here on the East Coast. I know we're all exhausted after an incredible pay-per-view, but hey, it's a holiday tomorrow if you're here in the United States. So let's get through it. I know we can. We're going to get to Anarchy in the Arena as Team AEW, FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Darby Allin took on the New Elite, the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, and Kazuchika Okada. This will be the second to last time I bring it up. Guys, if you're here and you're new, please hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you like the coverage of the show. We cover all wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, whatever, we cover it. We tend to even cover our local indies when we can. So if you're new to us, stick around. We have fun here. And if you're one of our regulars, and I know who you guys are, thank you for sticking with us all this time. But, guys, I don't know how to talk about this match. As the Elite are making their entrance, FTR and Bryan jump them as Jack Perry's music hits. Darby Allin then runs in as his music hits. He's wearing a mask. He's got a limp. And the brawl is underway. As Darby's music is playing, Matt Jackson grabs a microphone and says, and demands that that production plays the Elite's music. So the fight is going on with the Elite music playing. They're everywhere. They're in the crowd. They're on the stairs. They're at ringside. I can't cover everything that it was. There was so much stuff going on. But at one point, Bryan gets a microphone after kicking Matt Jackson, and he says, turn this shit off and instead play the greatest theme song in the history of professional wrestling. And we get it, guys. The final countdown plays. The brawl went, the music played for so long. It was everywhere. It was epic. It felt like a war as the New Elite was taking on Team AEW. Just seeing the fight in the crowd. At one point, Darby jumps off of like a door, like where the fans are, onto the like 15 feet to the ground, hitting a coffin drop. There was just so much stuff going on, and all the while the final countdown is playing, and it's just super freaking cool. At one point, Dax and Matt Jackson are fighting in the concourse area. Okada and Bryan are brawling in the crowd. Dax got a drink from a vendor, and Darby, like I said, Darby hit the coffin drop from a balcony onto so many of his opponents. At one point, and this was admittedly hilarious, and commentary backed it up, which was funny. Matt Jackson grabs a mic and he demands that the music stop, saying it $200,000 every time the music plays over and over again. They're on a budget. They can't afford this. It was hilarious. And the crowd wanted the music back. They chanted for it, but I get it, and it was funny. Darby and then Jack Perry fight backstage away from everybody else. Okada then holds up a Rainmaker Drive street sign. Super fun. And then dove over the barricade. If you're familiar with him in New Japan, you've definitely seen this before, where he basically runs the entire lane on ringside, dives over the barricade, doing a crossbody onto his opponent. It's super smooth. It looked super smooth here, too, and he really landed on Bryan beautifully. As all that's going on, Darby and Jungle Jack are still fighting backstage. Darby shoves Jack into a container full of ice, basically trying to drown him in ice and water. Perry then hits him with a steel pipe. The Young Bucks then hit a shadow machine onto Dax, who is busted open, and the Elite then gang up on Danielson. We then go backstage where we see, again, Darby is in just a pile of garbage, and speeding into shot is Jack Perry with a bus. Now, if you guys know, Darby Allin was recently hit by a bus in New York City. So on behalf of all New Yorkers, Darby, we are sorry, but it did make you stronger. We go back to the ring where everybody in the Elite looks just mortified by what Jack Perry just did. Jack Perry knocked himself out while driving through the rubble and hitting the wall. Poor Darby. But Darby is nowhere to be found as we show that Jack is knocked out. We then get back to the ring as FTR hits Nick Jackson with a spike pile driver onto the apron, and then they hit Matt Jackson with a superplex splash combo that they do. Okada then spiked Wheeler with a tombstone, and Darby miraculously makes his way back to the ring and takes the fight to Okada, hitting him with a code red. He couldn't do all of his flippy stuff. You could tell he's still hurting. You could tell that foot is still limiting him in some ways, but he did his best. The Young Bucks then powerbombed Darby onto a stack of chairs onto the outside. It was rough, but probably not even the worst thing that Darby's experienced in the last month. They then dragged him to the entrance platform and have the crew lower him through their entrance elevator. You know that thing they do where they enter through the middle of the stage? They had him drop down through it. Brian then goes to the stage and brawls with the Bucks. They then hit Brian with the TK driver. It was kind of epic. They were on the poker chips, like the stage poker chips that they have. And Nick was still on the stage, and it was a hell of a jump. Go check it out. He looks great. Dax then took the fight to the Bucks himself, and Wheeler and Wheeler joined the battle as well. Okada and the Bucks then gained the upper hand, and Okada sent Harwood through a table with an elbow drop. Nick Jackson then sent Wheeler through a table with a dive off part of the stage. We then go backstage where we see Jack Perry is conscious, he is moving, and as he is making his way back to the stage, he grabs Tony Khan. Come on, Tony. You got to have security around you now with the Elite. You got to be better than that. You're a billionaire, man. You can afford it. Darby then comes back to the stage himself, got up from the elevator with that flamethrower we saw from Dynamite. As he is just spraying that thing around, Jack dragged Tony to the stage, and guys, Darby Allin set Jack Perry on fire. He literally hit him. He blowtorched him. He hit him with a flamethrower. Jack Perry was on fire. He was on fire. If you don't like this kid, I don't know what to tell you. He took a fire spot. The kid is on fire. Thankfully, the Young Bucks had a fire extinguisher handy. They put him out, and a ton of personnel came, watered him down, toweled him down, but took him out of the match for quite a bit. The Young Bucks then dragged Darby back to the ring, and Nick goes for a 450 as Matt is holding Darby onto a garbage can. Darby's able to push back, and Nick misses and hits just the garbage can, no Darby. Darby then kicked Okada below the belt with that low blow, and Darby then hits Okada with a coffin drop, but the Bucks break it up. At this point, the three men, Okada and the Bucks, gang up on Darby, and Harwood is trying to fight them off. FTR hits Nick Jackson with a shatter machine, and then Matt hits Harwood with an exploding chair. An exploding chair. We've had a bus incident. We've had a flamethrower. We've had exploding chairs. We've had the final countdown. I don't know what more you want from this match. If you didn't love it, you're insane. Okada then goes under the ring and grabs a shoebox. And in that shoebox are the Young Bucks' new sneakers. Go pick them up, Reebok. And then and when they open it up, it's those sneakers with thumbtacks on the bottom. Matt puts the shoe on, and they super kick. And Okada, I'm so sorry, I missed this too. Okada put on a arm sleeve that had thumbtacks all over it, and then he hits Wheeler with a Rainmaker. That was rough. The Young Bucks then tie Darby Allin's feet to I guess a cord that was sent down from the rafters. They tie him up, they attach him to it, and then they hang him upside down by his ankles. Guys, this was a disturbing spot. He was up there for minutes. The crowd at one point chanting, "Please help Darby," to production. Matt then puts on that sneaker with the thumbtacks, and he super kicks Darby while he's hanging upside down into his broken nose. Rough. Brian then rallies and then hits the Bucks, taking the shoe off of Matt Jackson. He hits Nick with it. He hits Matt with it. And as he's continuing to take the fight to them, he hits a Psycho knee with a chair onto Nick Jackson. And as he's about to get the 3 count, Okada breaks it up and hits Danielson with the Rainmaker. The Bucks then hit Danielson with an EVP trigger as well. Brian is on his knees as Darby is literally hanging upside down above him. He tries to reach out to him. He tries to grab his hand, but Jack Perry hits a running Psycho knee to a kneeling Brian and gets the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Nick Jackson is loudly cheering them on. They did it! They won Anarchy in the arena! And if that sounded silly, that's because that's how Nick sounded. But the Elite are standing tall over Team AEW. They're finally able to get Darby down. But Brian, Darby, and FTR are left devastated as the new Elite are continuing to run rampant over Team AEW and AEW in general. Guys, I've seen a lot of wrestling. I've been a wrestling fan for a very, very long time. I've watched countless companies. I've been to countless shows, and I've watched on TV more wrestling than I should admit. This was insanity. This main event, I think it put almost every other Anarchy in the arena to shame, except for maybe the first one where they actually went around. No, that was Stadium Stampede. No, Anarchy. This was the most crazy Anarchy in the arena ever. All 8 men over-delivered. I love this matchup, and I love this pay-per-view. AEW, we say it every month, guys. We say it once a month at this point. AEW put on the best show of the month. They just did. This is not a knock on King or Queen of the Ring from yesterday. That was a great show from what I saw. Every company is delivering right now. Every company is firing on all cylinders. But this was something else. This was the type of thing I'm going to remember as a wrestling fan for a very, very, very long time. And yes, Anarchy in the arena was the cherry on top of this Sunday, but all the ingredients of all of these matchups tonight were delicious. Every title match delivered, the Eliminator delivered, the Grudge match delivered. Everything was awesome, guys. This was an excellent, excellent show. And hey, if you're with me at 2:30 in the morning on a Monday morning, you got to have some interest in AEW, or you just love me, in which case I appreciate it. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you did watch it, rewatch it. Excellent show from AEW. Tony Khan, the Elite, Team AEW, every member of the AEW roster killed it tonight. I am incredibly grateful to be a fan, and I don't know what else to say. I don't know. It says on my lower, I don't even know what to say. It's true, guys. This was an incredible show. We had music. We had explosions. We had blood. We had returns. We had heel turns. We had everything. AEW is going to be in a very interesting place this Wednesday coming up. We have a returning MJF. We have a fully formed Bang Bang Gang. We have an Elite who are seemingly unstoppable. We have new champions. We have champions who are continuing their reigns. We have people who don't know where they're going to land with certain groups. No matter how you look at it, it's exciting, and I am looking forward to Dynamite. Hell, I'm even looking forward to Collision and Rampage. So, guys, that was AEW Double or Nothing. I'm James Gisanti, and I'm exhausted. Thank you for being here. I've said it a couple of times, and I'll ask one more time. If you enjoyed this video, if you've been with me this whole time, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. It lets us know we're doing something right, and I want to do something right by you guys. If you aren't following us, please hit subscribe. Stick with us. As I've said, we cover AEW, we cover WWE, we cover TNA, we cover New Japan, we cover everything. So if you don't want to just watch us on Wednesdays or on pay-per-views, watch us on Mondays, watch us on Thursdays, watch us on Fridays. We do everything. So, and if you don't want to just follow us here, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're everywhere. We put out some funny stuff, guys. So stick with us. We're going to have a lot of fun because this is going to be a really fun wrestling year. We're not even halfway through. So, guys, I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. As always, we love you. As always, we appreciate you. Watch wrestling, no matter the letters. Have a good night.